Okay, so this video will focus on how to solve for the value of x with the help of your calculator, because you will find this handy especially when you are solving for quadratic equation, or let's say trinomials, okay, when we are doing chemical equilibrium problems. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Okay, so suppose we're just going to solve for the value of x with this simple equation. You can do this algebraically, but your calculator can solve this equation for you. Okay, so this will work if your calculator is 991 ES plus 570 ES, class Swiss, or other calculators that has the shift solve function. So if your calculator do not have the shift solve function, then you have to use algebra, okay, to solve for the value of x. Okay, but if your calculator has this shift solve function, then you're good to go. Okay, so let's try to answer this problem with the help of the calculator. So what we're going to do is to plug this equation, this entire equation, into my calculator. Okay, so let's start. We type in 24. We type 24 equal sign. So if you want to type the equal sign into your calculator, you just look for the red equal sign, such as shown here. So since it is red, it can be accessed when you press alpha. So you press alpha, then the red equal sign button. So that's 24 equals. Then let's plug in this term, this fraction. So you type in the fraction. How are you going to place the value of x? So just look at your calculator and look for the red x. Okay, so this is the red x. So you press alpha and that red x to access the x. Okay, so that will be on the numerator. On the denominator, we have 0.85 minus x. So you do the same, 0.85 minus x, so x. So we have to press that red x. Okay, so just press alpha, then x. So once you have the equation written in your calculator, you can now solve for the value of x. You just press shift, then you press solve. So it will tell you that it will solve for the value of x. Just press equal sign here at the bottom. So it will give you 0.816, and that is the value of x that we were able to calculate in this problem. Okay, so if we move this problem a little bit, we obtained that the value of x is 0.816. Okay, so we got that answer. Okay, so how about quadratic equations? So last time we have quadratic equation. Okay, so I told you to write the equation in proper format for the quadratic equation. So what's the proper format for the quadratic equation? So it looks like this now. So this is the proper format for your quadratic equation. You had the ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so that's how you should write the quadratic equation. So I told you last time, to solve for the value of x, we can use the quadratic equation, negative b squared plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, so you're going to plug in the values for a, b, and c. Okay, whenever you have a value that has negative sign on its front, you have to place it in that value. Okay, so you have to copy the negative sign in there. So that means for negative b, that will be written as negative parenthesis negative 81.4 close parenthesis. Okay, so you have to copy the negative sign when you are placing it in your equation. Okay, so you can also use your calculator to solve for the value of x. Okay, so that means you do not have to use the quadratic equation anymore. How? Okay, so you can use the shift solve. However, it will not work at some cases. So there's another way to solve for this. Okay, so shift solve doesn't really work whenever we have two unknown variables already, two or more unknown variables. So in order for you to answer this, you want to access the quadratic equation function of your calculator. So in order for you to access that, you just press the mode. Okay, you just press the mode. Then we have here the EQN, or the equation. So you press 5. Okay, and then you will be given with sets of formats for the different equations. So you have a and x plus b and y equals cn. Okay, so that's a linear equation. So a and x plus b and y plus c and z equals dn. So that is an equation which has 3 coordinates. Okay, so we do not use that in chemistry, in analytical chemistry. Okay, so number 3, we have the ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so that's the quadratic equation there. And then number 4, we have ax3 plus bx squared plus cx plus d equals 0. Okay, so that is the one that you're going to use when you are solving for trinomials. Okay, if you are solving for the cube root of the x value. So let's try to use number 3, because again, the reason why we formatted this equation is that we're going to plug in the a, the b, and the c into our quadratic equation shown here. Okay, so we will choose 3 because it resembles this equation on the top. So you press 3. Okay, so there you are given 3 options, 3 cells. You have the A, the B, and the C. Okay, so for you to plug in the value of A, okay, so looking at this equation here, the value of A is 50.3. So you're going to plug in the value of A into this cell. So you just type 50.3 and you press equal sign. Okay, so pressing equal sign will input your number into the cell. So we have the 50.3 in the A. How about letter B? So our letter B in our equation is negative 81.45. So you want to type negative 81.45 into that cell for letter B. So you press negative 81.45. Okay, then you press equal sign so that the number will be encoded in that cell. Okay, so you press equal sign. So there you go. So our negative 81.45 is already in the cell for letter B. How about for letter C? So for letter C, we have 30.54375. So you want to type that as well. 30.54375. Okay, and then you press the equal sign again. So there you go. We have 50.3 for A, negative 81.45 for letter B, and 30.54375 for C. Okay, so after plugging in the values for A, B, and C, you press the equal sign again. So you press the equal sign again. It will give you the first value for the x. Okay, so this is the first root for x in our quadratic equation. And this is the second root, okay, or this is the second value of x, or the second root of the equation. So that is what we actually solved in the problem. Okay, so let me fast forward this video a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, x1 is 1.029. Okay, so that is the first value of x that we calculated here. Okay, so that's 1.029. That's what we have here. And then the second value of x is 0.5898 or 0.590 if it is rounded to 3 decimal places. Okay, so that's the calculator technique that you can use whenever solving for equilibrium problems.
Quadratic equation.
So suppose you have an equation with the x raised to a power of 3. So you have x cubed. Okay, so you don't want to use this quadratic equation because of course it will not work. Okay, so suppose your equation has the highest power equal to 3, right? So you have x cubed, then you have to choose the number 4. Okay, so you have to choose this one over instead of this one. Okay.